The Ultra Beasts are extra-dimensional Pokemon introduced in the Generation 7 Core Series games. They have, for the most part, had a big impact in competitive Pokemon, with some clearly being better than others. While they don't share many similarities when it comes to types, stat distribution, move pools, and general roles on a team, they do all share one thing in common. That is their ability, Beast Boost. This ability is generally held in high regard, or at least seen as a relatively solid ability. When knocking out a Pokemon with an attack, Beast Boost activates, giving the Ultra Beast a +1 to their highest stat. And this is based on the actual number, factoring natures, EVs, and IVs, so not just the highest base stat. But Beast Boost doesn't really help all the Ultra Beasts equally. Sure, we have fast hard hitters like Pheromosa and Naganadel, who can snowball boost into potential sweeps, but other slower Ultra Beasts don't have this luxury and can easily be forced out. Wouldn't they be better off with a different ability? I had an idea in my last video where I covered Guzzlord and noted it as a Pokemon who would benefit from a more fitting ability. What if all the Ultra Beasts had a second ability that fit thematically, and for the weaker ones could help them competitively, or at least give them some utility instead of running Beast Boost? I thought of one or more for every Ultra Beast, and we're gonna look at them right now, buds. We'll go ahead and start out with Guzzlord, the mon who inspired this video. Guzzlord has a stat spread that gears it towards a bulky attacker build. It isn't outspeeding teams to sweep with Beast Boost anytime soon. And even if it does get a boost, those offenses aren't doing huge damage. So what ability would suit a somewhat bulky mon with decent offenses? I thought of a few initially that fit thematically. Gluttony is very fitting as it is literally its codename. It eats continuously, devouring everything in its path. But Gluttony isn't really a great ability competitively. But those probably aren't going to make much of a difference or perform any better than Beast Boost. I also thought of Cheek Pouch, but it is exclusive to Rodent Mons and doesn't really fit Guzzlord thematically too well. Guts looks cool and honestly would be solid competitively, but there is really nothing thematic that I found that would link it to Guzzlord. I'm going to say the best abilities that both fit Guzzlord and would impact it positively competitively are Intimidate and Thick Fat. First, we have Intimidate. One of the best abilities in the game, as it lowers the opposing Pokemon's attack by 1 stage upon switching. This is super fitting as Guzzlord is an 18-foot tall, nearly 2,000 pound nightmare that is a lot scarier than other Intimidate users. Intimidate would increase Guzzlord's physical bulk, allowing it to stay on the field longer against physical attackers, to fire off knockoffs while providing generally useful team support. Saving a mid to low HP Guzzlord right now has pretty much no value besides a sack to get into teammates safely. But Intimidate gives Guzzlord use at even 1 HP, provided it doesn't die to hazards. This might allow it to run decent Rocky Helmet sets that punish physical attackers, in lower tiers of course. But it does have a handful of useful resists that could give it a niche as a physical sponge with full investment. It could lean into its Rest Talk set with Dragon Tail to let it be a disruptive tank that is annoying to deal with. You could even pack an Assault Vest and all of a sudden you're somewhat tanky on both sides. The main problem would be longevity, so Wish support would be good, but with Guzzlord having such high HP and low defenses, it might not be the best mon to pass wishes to. The other ability, Thick Fat, would serve a similar purpose. It effectively halves damage taken from ice and fire moves. This would remove Guzzlord's ice weakness while giving it a ×4 resist to fire type moves. I'd say losing an ice weakness is already better than Beast Boost for Guzzlord in most battles. Ice is such a valuable offensive typing that even just not being weak to it is a massive buff. It would also make Guzzlord a far better fire switch-in, taking virtually nothing from those attacks. All of a sudden, Guzzlord's offensive chart looks really solid, and it would be a way better bulky attacker. We want to either make Guzzlord stronger or tankier, but the abilities that make sense sway towards the tanky side. I don't think these changes would make Guzzlord effective in OU or even UU, but it would definitely give the Guzz some cool tools to work with, and it could maybe find some niche usage in RU or VGC in a limited format with Intimidate, and maybe no Incineroar. We'll switch gears to an already very good mon in Kartana. There's really only one option for this mon, and you already know it. We'll be giving Kartana Flash Fire to cancel out that big fire weakness holding it back. Well, that would be pretty busted, so I'll give it something more fitting like, Sharpness, I guess. Alright, we'll go with Sharpness. This ability boosts slicing moves by 50%, and Kartana has a whole bunch of them. In fact, a good chunk of its offensive arsenal revolves around moves boosted by this ability. And it fits the closest thematically than any other ability in the game. Kartana's body is incredibly sharp, with every edge being like a well-honed blade. All of its Pokédex entries are bragging about how sharp it is anyways. At 1 foot tall and 181 base attack, it goes to show, it's not the size of the blade, it's how you use it. Now Kartana doesn't need any help getting it up tier-wise, it's already well endowed competitively. The real question is, does sharpness push this small fry up with the big boys and Ubers? Kartana's primary stab and leaf blade goes from an above average 90 power to a bussin' 135 base power nuke. This is 10 base power higher than Solar Blade, the strongest physical grass type attack, which is also sharpness boosted by the way. Combined with a high crit rate, and this is pretty much all you need for bandit sets. It'd be like the second coming of Vicious Wren. A popular coverage move in Sacred Sword is also greatly boosted to 135 base power. Night Slash and Psycho Cut become pretty viable coverage moves at 105 base power. Kartana's niche move Aerial Ace suddenly becomes super strong at 90 base power. Hell, even Air Slash's boost makes it a better option to deal with physically defensive Buzzwole, which is Kartana's main use for a flying move. Moves like X-Scissor or even Razor Leaf in doubles could also find some viability with their new base power buff. I don't follow too many fan games, but I'm sure someone has implemented this already and it totally busted Kartana. The immediate power would be better than Beast Boost in most scenarios. I'd say give it a go and watch everything perish. I predict the rise of Sapsip or Azumarill to be the only decent switch in. And if you're whining that this is too OP, then give it Hyper Cutter for all I care. Another good switch into Kartana could be Blacephalon. This Fire Ghost Ultra Beast has amazing offensive stats. It leans more towards the special side though, with 151 special attack paired with a really solid 107 base speed. It is really frail with low defensive stats, but can usually live a hit thanks to its 7 resistances and 2 immunities. Its dual stab provides solid coverage and is really all it needs, which is good because it's pretty much all it has. It appreciates getting Beast Boost to try and sweep, and has seen lots of competitive success in singles. Not so much in doubles though. I wouldn't say Blacephalon needs an ability change, and I'm not just gonna give it Magic Guard like I've seen a lot of people say, just because it synergizes well with Mind Blown. It doesn't exactly fit too well thematically, so I thought of 2 other ones that could fit better thematically and maybe have a different niche over Beast Boost, but definitely aren't as good. First, I thought of Reckless. Blacephalon just takes its head from its body and launches it as an attack. It seems pretty reckless if you ask me. Of course, with this change, you would see Flare Blitz added to Blacephalon's move pool, which I was shocked to see it doesn't get. And when it returns, maybe they could give it some other Reckless boosted moves like Double Edge, Supercell Slam, and funnily enough, Head Smash would be pretty great to see and not off-brand. The latter 2 would become really good options on a physical set, dealing with water and fire types at least. And on special sets, only Mind Blown would become boosted. Wait, Mind Blown isn't boosted by Reckless? You're telling me this for the first time. Well, that pretty much nixes that idea if that doesn't change. Alright, maybe we'll just give Blacephalon Aftermath then. Its Japanese name translates to Induce Explosion, and is seen on the Electrode lines, and some other lines that don't look like they should explode, but do. It would at least make Blacephalon useful if it wants to deal some chip damage as it gets knocked out. It could be pretty useful, but it's no Beast Boost, so I don't see this being used since Blacephalon is all about offense and doesn't really provide utility where it would go with a more defensive ability. You guys have to help me think of a fitting alternate ability for Blacephalon. Don't be lazy about it either, buds. Xurkitree is sort of middle of the pack when it comes to competitively viable Ultra Beasts. It has pretty unimpressive base stats everywhere, except its godly 173 special attack. This is what keeps Xurkitree pretty balanced, as it's super strong with decent coverage options, notably including good grass moves. Its main problem is its low speed stat, especially for a mono electric attacker. If it had a way to boost its speed, it could be really good. So why not give it Motor Drive? It definitely fits thematically, maybe not as fitting as Volt Absorb, which was another idea, but definitely better for it competitively. It is said to stick its arms and legs into the ground and absorb electricity. When it runs out of power, this is what charges it up. Pretty good argument for giving Xurkitree Motor Drive, I'd say. This would be huge for Xurkitree competitively, and immunity is always great, but being able to raise its speed while not being locked into a choice scarf would grant this beast the flexibility and speed control it's always wanted. You could blank other electric attackers or volt switch attacks and set up a tail glow on the switch. Xurkitree has good enough bulk to take one non-ground type attack, so this wouldn't be too hard. At +3 special attack and +1 speed, you would see Xurkitree as an excellent mid to late game cleaner. Thunderbolts would destroy non-resist, while Energy Ball takes care of those bulky grounds. And you could probably pack a Life Orb, Expert Belt, or Magnet for a bit of extra power. And if it gets access to Parabolic Charge upon return, which is possible given the widening of its distribution, Xurkitree could sustain itself out of range from Priority or Scarfers. It used to run Z Hypnosis sets just to have the opportunity to get this speed boost to set up and sweep. It wouldn't really need Beast Boost when hitting at +3 as well, as outspeeding would be way more important. So I have no doubt this would be an upgrade that could push Xurkitree into the realm of being a sleeper pick on certain high tier hyper offensive teams. Onto a beast that needs a bit more help, we see Stakataka. Unlike Guzzlord, Stakataka is a Slowmon that can actually get some good use out of Beast Boost. Its access to Trick Room and a crazy 13 base speed makes it one of the fastest Trick Room attackers. It takes advantage of this with a super strong Gyro Ball coming off 131 base attack. I wasn't sure which ability would be appropriate while also giving Stakataka useful traits. I ended up deciding on Sturdy. While the Taka Tower has huge defenses, its HP is pretty pathetic and it has 2x4 weaknesses to the common ground and fighting types. Sturdy would give it some great applications over Beast Boost, as you could guarantee living one of those hits and respond by either getting up Trick Room, setting up rocks, or just getting some crucial damage. This would free it from ever running a Focus Sash as an item, and it could even start using Custard Berry sets to score some cheeky KOs. Sturdy can also activate multiple times, so healing Wish support on Trick Room teams can make it worth it to save your low HP Staka. Sweeper sets would probably prefer Beast Boost, especially with the addition of Body Press to its move pool in Generation 8, but I think Sturdy would have its place and definitely be the preferred option on lead sets. It acts as a safety net, as it can stump a setup sweeper by guaranteeing you live their hit, no matter how powerful. Another ground weak Ultra Beast is Nihilego, and I can already see the comment section blowing up about how I'm going to pronounce its name. Appearing in UU in both of its competitive generations, Nihilego is a solid choice competitively and can even be brought up to OU with its unique tools. It has great special bulk, great hitting power, and above average speed. Its main weakness is its terrible physical bulk and quad weakness to ground moves. I originally wanted to give Nihilego Clear Body, as it fits thematically and is seen on other jellyfish Pokemon like the Tentacruel line, but it really wouldn't do too much and would kinda be a waste. So I'm gonna go with the obvious one here and Levitate. It might be a cop-out since I've seen plenty of people saying it should get Levitate, but to be fair, it does float around in the air to get around and is never really seen on the ground where it can be hurt by ground type moves. This is obviously a huge buff, getting rid of its biggest weakness while also giving it an immunity to spikes and sticky webs. It wouldn't be able to absorb toxic spikes anymore, but that's fine. This will make Nihilego a lot better at setting up hazards, including T-spikes of its own, as it can switch into mons like Landorus and Gliscor, who wouldn't have any other good ways to hit it. It would still have free weaknesses and frail physical bulk, so I'm not thinking this would break this mon competitively. If anything, it would give it a better niche in OU as a fast hazard setter who can threaten great damage. Sand teams can also use Nihilego as a great special wall that really only fears steel and the more uncommonly seen physical water attackers. It would still be shut down by steel types and have its counters, but it would be a great rule compression addition, being able to do hazards and wall break while tanking special hits. It would miss Beast Boost when it picks up KOs, but I think most sets would prefer the pros that come with Levitate. Next up, we have one of the best Ultra Beasts in Pheromosa. Pheromosa has seen great success getting banned from the OU tier to Ubers. This is mostly in part to its min-max offensive stats. 137 in both attacking stats can let it run great physical, special, or mixed sets, which all have plenty of good moves. 151 speed is stupidly fast too, which helps it get off attacks first. The 37 base defenses and a low 71 HP shows it's definitely a glass cannon. It really doesn't need any help in competitive singles, but these low defenses make Pheromosa's life difficult in doubles formats. It's very susceptible to priority and is just better when it can pick matchups 1v1 and pivot out with U-turn when it doesn't like what it's up against. So we'll try to help Pheromosa be usable in these formats by giving it the ability Queenly Majesty. A fitting ability as you see how Pheromosa presents itself. It has a real regal appearance, even sporting a crown-like structure on its head. It refuses to touch anything in the main dimension due to sensing and cleanness. It's been shown to have some sass as well, an I'm above everyone else attitude if you will. Queenly Majesty blocks priority moves from opposing Pokemon. This includes double staples like Fake Out and Prankster moves, Sucker Punches, Extreme Speeds, and other common priority moves that would normally threaten Pheromosa would simply fail. This not only gives Pheromosa safety, it provides offensive utility to it. Even when it isn't on the field, the opponent will have to be wary of the threat of Pheromosa getting a free switch in. Or if you choice into a priority move, you're essentially giving up a KO for free. Beast Boost is definitely better in the scenarios your opponent doesn't have priority. There isn't plenty in Ubers besides E-Kill or Arceus and maybe a Sucker Punch here and there. So a Beast Boost could snowball into a sweep, but if given the option, Queenly Majesty would be far more preferred in doubles formats for the sheer amount of utility and advantage it gives you. You could effectively pivot with U-turn in doubles and swap in on Fake Outs or Prankster moves targeting your side. Celesteela is the Ultra Beast with probably the most versatility when it comes to beast boosting. Its attacking and defensive stats are all so close together that you only need to change around a few EVs or a nature to get the desired boost. But this beast is often used as support, not necessarily going for KOs with attacks. It does enjoy getting a beast boost in whatever stat it's spec'd into, but I think we should give it an offensive ability. I didn't want to just give it heavy metal, as I've heard that a bunch before, and it really only interacts with its heavy slam, a move that is almost always full power, with Celesteela being tied for heaviest mon. If we dive into Celesteela's design and lore, it does resemble some sort of spacecraft or rocket. It grows from the ground and eventually explodes out and flies into space. The Steel Flying type also supports this, and it's said to shoot a flammable gas from its two huge arms. That explains why it gets fire moves. But where I'm going with this is thematically we could give Celesteela the very fitting ability, Flare Boost. Flare Boost increases the power of special moves 50% when burned. This is essentially like having a beast boost in special attack that doesn't go away upon switch and can't be hazed. Celesteela's highest stat is special attack, and it has a solid special move pool. It wouldn't mind giving up lefties too much for a Flame Orb, and in conjunction with Autonomize, it would give Celesteela a faster and more reliable way to be immediately threatening. This also blocks Celesteela from other statuses like Paralysis and Sleep. Celesteela could still Leech Seed for recovery to offset the burn damage, but it would probably want the coverage slot. In doubles, you could use a teammate to burn Celesteela to free up your item slot, as it's bulky enough to take a hit and Autonomize to make sure it can outspeed the opponents. Power Herd Meteor Beam sets could be used, or even weakness policies to just fully commit. I think this would be more usable than Flare Boost Drift Bloom at least, but it does fit well and gives an unused ability some spotlight. We're going to cover my favorite Ultra Beast next, but just before we do, you should make sure you've become a bud and subscribe to the channel. My new end of the year goal is 20k, as support has been wild lately. While you're at it, let's show that like button who's boss. I don't have anything else to push right now, so let's get back to the video. My favorite Ultra Beast is up. That is my weightlifting inspiration, Buzzwole. This jacked bug has no shortage of protein intake, and no shortage of love for its beast boost ability. An attack boost really gets Buzzwole flexing after taking out a foe. I was thinking of a bunch of fitting abilities for Buzzwole. Some good ones did come to mind. Battle Armor being one, since it's apparently harder than a diamond. Moxie being one of them. But it really is just a beast boost that lets Buzzwole run whatever stat spread it wants while guaranteeing the attack boost. I narrowed it down to two options. The first one I have is Iron Fist. This ability powers up punching moves by 20%. Buzzwole has Fist of Fury, and Iron Fist is more than fitting. The Buzz is said to be powerful enough to destroy a dump truck with a single punch. It has access to plenty of useful punching moves to make this an enticing option. It could be a preferred ability on surprise scarf sets that want that extra power boost on moves like Ice Punch and Thunder Punch before being forced out by a resistant switch-in. It would be great on bulk up sets along with Drain Punch. This gets boosted to 90 base power, also increasing the recovery as it will inflict more damage. It has access to Power Up Punch and Hammer Arm as well, which would get a boost albeit being uncommon moves to see. I think this would see some usage for sure, as you get the immediate power boost that you aren't guaranteed with Beast Boost. The other ability is Guts. You've seen Buzzwole flexing even until it faints. It will definitely be fighting harder if it's statused. Guts would actually be pretty nuts. It would be a good status switch in. It wouldn't have the problem of being worn down since it has a boosted Drain Punch, Leech Life, and access to Roost. It can now add a super strong Facade to its arsenal as powerful neutral coverage. It would have the power to one-shot mons it can already with the attack boost, and it could be one of the best wall breakers with access to other great moves like Earthquake and Poison Jab for mons to resist its stabs. Hell, you could even throw Hammer Arm on a set for Trick Room teams, as Buzzwole has a speed tier that it can be effective with at -1 speed. I think this would definitely be the more fun option, and you wouldn't even miss Beast Boost since you're already one-shotting mostly everything. The last Ultra Beast to cover is Naganadel. Well, I guess Poipole as well. It's the only Ultra Beast pre-evolution, but it does have Beast Boost. It doesn't have anything going for it really with the bland mono poison typing and below average stats everywhere. So it's unfortunately not one of the mons you can even slap an Eviolite on and make work in the lower tiers.
Nope.
I guess you can give it Levitate since it's able to fly around. Let's just give it that. Sticky Hold is worth a mention since it's said to have adhesive poison glowing from its head. This would help it hang onto its Eviolite at least. Poison Point also works as well, as it has large needles on its head that can shoot that adhesive poison. Those would all be better on this mon, honestly. Even Poison Point, since it can proc from contact moves, and Poison has a lot of resistances, so with Eviolite, you may be able to get a lucky Poison. More likely than getting a KO at least. On to the real deal, we have Naganadel. At first glance, you kinda wanna say adaptability, don't you? I know I did. But then I realized that was probably from it sharing its typing with Dragalge. That would be totally busted, but I'd be down for it. Naganadel is banned to Ubers and singles, but isn't exactly the most viable as its power level doesn't shock the high BST legendaries as much as it shocked the mons in the OU tier. It also shares the trait with Pheromosa of being too frail to be worth using in doubles and sees very little usage. When you look at its stats, they look a lot less menacing in a doubles format. The super effective stab hits aren't exactly there, and Naganadel's poor bulk will likely see it go bye-bye before it can even use its Beast Boost ability. It would be too easy to also give Levitate to Naganadel. I don't want to double up on abilities, but it would at least give it one less weakness and add to its great defensive typing. I guess we'll go with Sniper for this. It increases damage done from critical hits by 50%. It is very fitting design-wise, but doesn't really synergize competitively, since it doesn't have access to those nice high crit rate moves or focus energy to spam crit Dracos. But this will assume we give Naganadel focus energy at least, since it's a pretty well distributed move and is even a tutor in Sword and Shield. I don't know why Naganadel didn't get it, but I think crit Draco Meteors flying down would be super fun. I don't think it would really push it into higher doubles usage, but it would be a really fun set to try with screen support to set up. And if you don't like that, then give it adaptability or sheer force in your own list in the comments. I was just trying to fit design and theme wise for mine. But I want to see your ideas for all the other Ultra Beasts. Let me know which one you think needs the ability buff the most. Don't forget to become a bud and hit that sub to see more competitive Pokemon related videos. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you check out this one next. Take it easy, buds.